Hi, I'm Vishal Yadav, and you are listening to Female Cricket Podcast. Now, this is a podcast about some of the lesser known and unheard stories from the world of women's cricket. Every week, I'll be joined by female cricketers and bring to you their story, their struggles, and together we shall relive beautiful moments from their journey. This podcast is an initiative by Female Cricket, a platform that aims to promote and publicize women's cricket around the world. So, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to a podcast, plug in those earphones, pour yourself some tea or coffee or whatever you like, and enjoy these beautiful stories. If you know cricket, you know her. If you know women's cricket, then you definitely know her. She's one of the players who has been around for over 20 years now. Ruling women's cricket for over 2 decades, she has plethora of records under her name. This girl from Hyderabad needs no introduction. Just her name is enough. She is Mithali Raj. We have with us today the ambassador of Indian cricket, the Captain Cool, to share her cricket journey of how it all started, what made her an inspiration for thousands of girls who pick up their bat and have dreams in their eyes today. Enjoy this beautiful podcast featuring none other than Mithali Raj. Firstly, thank you so much for accepting the invitation of being on the podcast, Female Cricket Podcast.
Thank you.
The whole idea of starting this was to bring out some unheard and some interesting stories from the cricketer's journey. Quickly, let's dive deep to the conversation. I won't ask you what exactly are you doing in the lockdown, because you have revealed that on a lot of Instagram live.
True.
That you start your day with training, and then you water your plants, and then you spend a lot of time with your family members. My first question to begin with is, what was the reaction as a 4-5-year-old kid watching your brother all tucked in blanket having a good night's sleep in the chilly winter nights when you had to wake up at 5 every day to attend your cricket practice?
For a good period till my school, even my brother was playing for quite some time, at least till he finished his schooling. So It was not like he would sleep late into the morning. Mm-hmm. It's only that when he quit, and because he was into college and he had the science background, the science as a subject in his inter and degree. So he was quite busy with his studies. Yes, I did have my grandparents staying with us for quite some time. And the winter mornings are usually for everybody who would want to snuggle up in bed and get those good sleep in the mornings. I would be leaving and see my grandparents actually sleeping and with the blanket and everything. So yes, at some point the thought did cross my mind, when will I get old and get to sleep like that or enjoy winters like how they do.
Okay. In the last 20 years of your playing career, when was the last time you got to spend your summer vacations at home, basically your April and May at home with your parents?
I don't remember exactly which year. I think it should be around maybe around 2008. I don't remember. There was one period, yes, we didn't have cricket for good 5-6 months.
Oh, is it?
And I think I was already employed, of course, because at 18 I was employed, but for that 3 months I was like going to office and learning the work in office for those good 3 months. And that was the year. I think that was the only time, but then it was nothing like complete off season as such, because even off season for us is like we continue our training, we continue our fitness regularly. So it is not like we completely off the ground or completely it's like a 3 month holiday sort of thing. But yes, we would take a break from our skill work and still continue our training. So it was nothing like the lockdown sort of a thing, but it was something where I was learning office work a little bit and at the same time doing my fitness training. So, but then there was not much of cricket happening that time. So, but I don't remember the year. It was it was in summer only.
Oh, is it? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So even if it was 2008, it's been what, 12 years now?
It is way back. I mean, it was like the early years of my when I joined railways. It was the early years of my employment days.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Maybe 2 years in or 3 years. I don't know. It should be around before 2009, definitely one of the years.
So how happy are your parents, especially your mom now, seeing you at at home for so long?
I think this morning only she was complaining. She said like first 1 month of the lockdown you are very sweet to me, but now you started to trouble me, and I really hope things start getting better so you can go out of the house and start training.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
In one of the interviews, you also revealed that your mom is a foodie, unlike you and your dad.
Yeah.
So, did you get to try out? Did you get to taste anything special in the lockdown?
Well, my mom is a foodie, yes, but she's also she's a vegetarian. She's a pure vegetarian.
Okay.
And me and my dad are non-vegetarians. We eat meat and everything.
Okay.
There is absolutely no restriction as such, but she still prepares non-veg. Because of the lockdown everywhere, things like even meat for that matter, it's not readily available like before.
Okay.
So that is why we kind of don't eat it every day or something. Like only in the weekends she tries to cook non-vegetarian. There's nothing like anything new or sauce because obviously me and my dad, we never try dishes like. We have urges to eat something, we tell her and she cooks. But we don't indulge ourselves into new dishes or anything. We pretty much take the safe route and the known route in terms of our food. So even if my mother cooks dal chawal every day of the year, we still would eat. Because for us, food is like a way of living, that's all. We don't enjoy eating because, I mean, it's a necessity that we to survive we have to eat. So me and my dad do that. But my mother, on the other hand, if we go out anywhere to the restaurant, she will choose something new, and me and my dad would always end up ordering the dish that we've already eaten before on numerous occasions.
Okay. So is it because that your dad comes from an army background? Is it because he always wanted this disciplined life and he wants to stick and stay to one particular thing rather than experimenting?
My dad, of course, I mean, military background to a large extent does play a role in the way that you perceive a lot of things in life.
Yeah.
One is that the grueling schedule that you have in terms of your training and the discipline that one maintains and how you run your finances. But at the same time, because he had a big family, he had 6 sisters and 1 brother, so there were 8 siblings in the family. So naturally, there is like when you are he is the 4th born in the list of those 8 people. So and he has a younger brother. So in terms of a man in the family, he is the topmost. So naturally there would be responsibilities, and way back in 70s, 80s, obviously, like the responsibility is way earlier than what it is now. Now you cross 21, 22, then you get a responsibility. But those days, in your teens only, you should be working and stuff like that. So I think a lot had to do with that as well. And he probably never tried it because he had the responsibility of the entire family on his head. And so maybe when you have that, you try to ration things out in whatever way you can.
Okay.
So I think that probably sometimes becomes a part of you or a habit.
Okay.
And also when you have a disciplined routine, you don't really indulge in other things. You don't like to step out of that routine and try things. Because it's like if you have a routine for a good year, or say even for a month, you practice something like not eating beyond 7. After a month, even if you want to, you will not get the urge to eat beyond 7 because you put your body in such a way, you have taught it a routine in such a way that body also doesn't give you that reaction, okay, I want to eat something at 8 o'clock or not. It gets used to it.
Exactly.
So I think that's how it is with my dad. He likes things to be very simple. He doesn't like too many things, complicated stuff and all. he lives a very simple life. And for me, being a cricketer, a lot of times I have let go a lot of things to follow certain habits which helped me to be on the path that I wanted to be, or my parents wanted me to be, a professional path. So I let go a lot of things that now I don't miss them, nor do I have urges. Like as a young cricketer, I used to eat a lot of chocolates. I was actually crazy of chocolates. I had a sweet tooth.
Wow.
But because when we started to have physios and trainers with the team and the dietitians giving us one-odd classes about what to eat, what not to, and how it helps you in your performance, in your training, how your body goes through certain changes. So when you gather these knowledge, then you want to do those things which helps you to be a better sports person or a better athlete or a cricketer.
Correct.
So once you indulge in those habits, today, even if you buy me chocolates, I don't eat it because somehow my taste buds or my body doesn't ask for it.
Okay.
So I don't eat chocolates, even though I buy a lot of chocolates when I tour abroad. Is only for my mother. Nobody else in the family eats chocolates.
Okay.
So I buy, and that too, she would expect each time she wants different variety.
Oh,
so
is it?
Yeah. So I make sure I take pictures of the ones which I get now, so that the next tour I see those and I will not go to that count. I will try something else. She would say that, what is this same old you're getting? What is this? Can't you get a different chocolate or different variety, different flavor? And stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I think even in terms of chocolates, I would eat only one thing. I used to eat.
Okay.
I would never try, even in the chocolates, I would never try anything. Even ice creams, I don't try any different flavor. I will only go for the ones which I've always had.
Okay.
Talking about chocolates and especially your mom, what I've also read is, back then you had a very packed schedule. Training from 5 to 8 in the morning, then school from 8 o'clock till the afternoon, and again cricket trainings in the evening. And since you left very early at around 4:35 in the morning, your mom would then cook and pack tiffins for you and bring to you at the ground and at the school, so that you get both fresh and healthy stuff to eat. So do you think now she's just trying to take revenge of all the hard work and hustles that she has done for you?
Well, sometimes she does say, like, when she comes, I have my ways of showing the sort of banter. I try and take a trip. Like when I'm driving in the car. So as soon as she comes in, I switch off the AC because my mother can't stand heat. So I switch off the AC. So she's like, why did you switch off? I said, because I don't need it. I'm okay without AC. So she's like, each time you do it because you don't want me to travel in an AC car. Then she will go back. Those were the days when I used to take you on a two-wheeler. I did so many things. Then I was like, okay, relax. I'll switch it on.
Emotional.
So the same thing when she comes into my room, I switch off the AC. So she's like, just because I've come, you want to make the room hot. So these are the small things that I always make sure that I have a way of troubling her through this, which is very harmful stuff.
Yeah.
But she always, during these times only, she'll keep reminding me, remember that time how I used to wake up in the morning and stuff like that to do for you. So
Right.
I would tell her, I said, I've never asked you to do it. So she's like, if I wouldn't have done it, you wouldn't be here. Okay, but doesn't mean that you have to keep reminding me of those days.
Okay. And this looks more like a sibling banter rather than a mother-daughter banter.
Well, that is because I never got much time to spend with my brother once I started playing cricket. So
Okay.
naturally, the distance between me and my brother widened once I started to be a very professional cricketer. My parents spent a lot of time in nurturing me as a cricketer.
Correct.
And so my brother somewhere, was, I wouldn't say deliberately neglected, but sort of neglected. It usually happens when parents try and give more time to one child.
True.
the second child naturally gets a little sidelined.
Yeah.
So what happened is my brother, then he was into his, he's an environmentalist by profession.
Okay.
And he works for a lot of NGOs. So he got quite busy with his field.
Okay.
And then he stayed in Delhi, he stayed in Vizag. So a lot of times when I'm traveling for my profession, I hardly get to see my parents. So my brother was literally another city altogether. So the distance was, there was a big distance between us in terms of the sibling relationship.
Okay.
But ours is a very matured relationship at a very young age, because my brother knew that I'm into cricket and my parents put in so much to make me a cricketer. So there's never been a phase, or there's never been an outburst where he made us realize that he was neglected. Never. Till date, we've never had that.
Wow.
It has always been like he's always been someone. I remember this in 2006. 2000, I think one of this England tour where I was struggling with runs, and I expressed my restlessness with my mother, and then she spoke to my brother. So those days it just started emails.
Okay.
It just started about the net, and the emails just started. Each time, whenever I am a little low and he gets to know from my mother, he's always reached out to me, to try and sort things out. But never did he made us realize that, make us feel guilty for not giving him time or he being neglected by my parents. He never made us feel that way ever.
Amazing.
So I think my banter with my mother is because I've never had him around to have that kind of a banter. So that is why my mother, most of the time, in fact, has been a friend to me and then a mother. Whereas my dad has always been a dad for me. I couldn't really go beyond, or he couldn't go beyond that role for me. But my mother has been a friend right from younger days for me.
Okay. But do you now, after playing for so many years, after having such a stellar career, do you now credit your dad for being such a strict dad from day one and pushing you to, chase your dreams and not giving up so soon? Because there were so many times that I'm sure you must have had tough days and things not going your way, be it not scoring runs or be it having just an off day at the field. How did you keep your calm back then?
Well, I think because cricket is not something I took up by my own interest. It was something my dad wanted, and so even though times where I felt low because for whatever factors, he's always been there. Sometimes in a very by giving a very harsh or being very critical about the performance, and there are times when he's like being that cushion to shoulder the pain that I was going through. So and most important is he knew from the time I was growing as a cricketer. A lot of coaches come in the middle of your career.
Correct.
There are some who came in 2000, and for 2 years I have worked with them. Then I moved on to another coach. So usually for me in my career as a cricketer, I've never been with one coach throughout my career for them to understand my emotional needs or my mental needs in terms how I understand failure or success.
Okay.
But my dad has been a constant right from the time I held the bat till today. So even if I don't talk to him much about cricket these days, but there is a part of me which is like, I still discuss with him what I go through. It is more to do with mental setup than my skills. So I always reach out to him because I know he understands me as a player than anybody else in this world. So he would always give me the right suggestions, right advices, and never forces me to do certain things. Earlier, as a young kid, yes, he would always be there and make sure that I'm following certain things. But now he doesn't force, but he always gives me options. And he would say that you're grown up to understand and take your own decisions.
So, what year, if you could recall, ma'am, what year did you start playing domestic cricket for Hyderabad?
I started playing. My first tour was under 16. That was in '92 itself.
Wow, 92.
Yeah, 92. 92, I played under 16. I made my debut for under 16, under 19
Okay.
for the state.
Okay.
And 95, I made my debut for senior level.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And 97 was when you got a call for the to be the part of the India camps, and there was a World Cup that year too.
Yeah,
And
97 was the World Cup. I was selected in the probables, and then I was the first standby for the World Cup squad. Yeah.
and one of the main reasons why this World Cup, not just the World Cup, probably this 1997 was very special because this made you realize a lot of things. I'm not sure if this was one of the lowest phases of your cricket career because soon after you got the
No,
news.
I wouldn't say career, but lowest phase in terms of as a person, or maybe as a young kid, I would say, to lose out my coach in the same year.
Okay.
It did impact me in a way that I never could understand as a kid. But over the years, I struggled with that part of my emotion, and today I'm in a better space, but and also in a better understanding of my emotions. Why there are certain aspects as a person I don't respond very well is because of the impact it created in me as a kid to lose my coach in the year that I was picked for the probables. It's always a very emotional thing to lose somebody who's close to you or a family member. To lose anybody, it's a sad and a very hurtful thing to go through such emotions.
Correct.
But things happen, and I think a lot of us could be able to endure that is because we had something to go and do. Like, if not for cricket, I don't think we would be in a better position to go through that loss. For me, I immediately attended all the camps. That helped me at that particular time to shift my focus.
Okay.
Otherwise, a lot of people get into depression, get more saddened by the loss of their family member, and especially for kids. So I think that also helps in a way a person can develop certain aspects in the character as people.
Correct.
So it is very different to everybody. I mean, not necessarily one person, how one person deals with a loss in the same manner the other person would deal. It's a very different thing and a very individual thing, each to their own. But if you have something to fall back on, it gets a little less. The pain might be, superficially, the top layer can be, covered by getting into some other field.
Okay.
But the loss will always remain. The loss will be there, but at least at that particular time, it doesn't, take you in a different sphere altogether.
Correct. So after this incident, which made you super strong, which made you emotionally quite strong, you continued to score runs in the domestic circuit. After that, there's 1999, the golden moment. You were called for the ODI debut. This was a match against Ireland. What was going through your mind that day? What was your emotions back then? You were quite young. You were only 16.
I don't remember. It was way back to 20 years. But
was there a feeling of nervousness? Was there a feeling of excitement that you'll be leading India? You'll be playing for India?
Well, I think I didn't have the excitement of representing India. I think I had more of nervousness of performing on my debut tour. One is because obviously not having the coach who's taught you the fundamentals of the game around. I mean, it would have been brilliant to actually, for him to see me wear an India cap I would have been more thrilled. When the coach expired in 97, it was my dad. So obviously it was I was nervous more is because I wanted to do well for my dad. Someone who, after the demise of my coach, he took it up to coach me for that 3-4 years after the post death of my coach. So there were 3-4 years I went to my dad only to be coached. So I've seen him how he has struggled. Even he has struggled a lot because bank jobs are never easy, and unlike me, he's employed with bank, not on sports quota, so he doesn't get any off. So he sits like a good 9 to 5 job. He sits in the bank, and then again he trains me early in the morning and trains me in the evening. So it was taxing for him also. And someone who's never been the coaching, he doesn't know much of cricket. I mean, he's played for services, but that is like, I mean, that kind of a knowledge everybody has these days, you know. So he just had the same knowledge, but he tried to gather all that by being with my coach the 5-6 years, that he tried to do in whatever way he could to help me. And so it was very important for me to perform. I mean, I honestly, I don't remember the excitement of it, but I probably had more of nervousness of performing as a kid. Yeah.
And after scoring this century, so the first thought that came to your mind that now your dad would be super happy listening to this.
Well, yes, because, you know, those days, 99 women's cricket, nobody knew. So, I mean, the only happiness you get to see is your teammates, your support staff, your team. And obviously there was no mobile phone, so we would call up home from those booths. So, probably when I spoke, I probably would have felt the contentment or the happiness in my dad's voice, that, you know, he's at least happy that I scored 100.
Okay. After the century, there were a couple of moments when you stood for the team, you scored runs heavily in the domestic tournaments. Then the very next year, we had Women's World Cup in New Zealand. It was all going well. In the first 3 knockout matches, you managed to score 69, 51 and 32. And in the middle of the tournament, you got diagnosed with typhoid.
I think I just played the 3 games, and the rest of the tournament, I mean, it was still the league phase. The rest of the tournament, I was hospitalized. After the third game itself, I felt sick and I was hospitalized within 2-3 days.
And you did not play any of the matches after that?
No, I did not play any of those games.
What was going through your mind? It was a maiden World Cup tournament, quite special for you and everyone. And you had performed really well in the league matches. Did you sort of regret being out of the tournament, and just the thought of not being able to contribute to your team and to your country?
I've never seen anything, because my focus was never on the first World Cup, first game. It was never that. For me, right from the beginning, it never mattered to me about milestones or stats. When I was playing selection matches for the 2000 World Cup, I missed out on my boards, my 12th boards, in the second year boards. And initially, before that, me and my parents sat down to actually think, because the selection matches were clashing with my board exams. And so when my parents asked me, what do you want to do? I said, I want to give my boards. I don't want to play. That was my decision. But then my mother, after a week, she came back to me. She said, World Cup comes once in 4 years. But if you miss your board, you can always give in September. So, I mean, you think over. So when she tried to pacify me, to tell me that, World Cup is important. It doesn't happen every year. And the boards you can always give. And I was not ready for it because as teens, you obviously, if you're in teens, you would want to be on the same level as your college mates or your friends. You don't want to be behind, 1 year behind. Those days, nobody seen as sports as something big. For them, it is education. Education was still given the topmost priority back then. So even if you're an India player and if you're 1 year behind, a lot of people look down on you because they think sports people are not intelligent, or they don't study. That was a normal setup in the public those days. It was it was not easy to be a sports person back then and get the kind of support that today's time we get. Today, if somebody says that, I want to miss my boards to go and play, I'm India player, they would say, India needs you. You're playing for India.
That's
you can
so
always
cool.
study later. That time it was like, leave India, you first give your boards, they would say. And so I was like, I didn't want to play those matches. Those days, education was given more importance than your than sports. So, but then my parents, my mother tried to give me reasons to choose to play those selection matches, and I eventually did. I played those matches, but something which I promised myself is, if I'm missing my boards, I should crack and get into the Indian team, and it should just not be member of the team, but I should be playing in the level. That is, if I'm going to sacrifice my boards, it might
has to be worth it.
So when I got sick after 3 games, of course I felt bad, because I'm missing out on opportunities to cement my place in the team. It was just my second tour, a World Cup. I just played 3 games, and after that I fell sick. So I thought, what about future, the next tournament? Will I get picked? Do I have the performance that I will get picked? So that was my thought, at that point of time.
So were you always a studious kid back in school, your college, or were you in the average kid?
Well, I was an average kid, because one side my dad would tell me, you just have to pass. Read only 35 marks is fine with me as long as you are good in cricket. Because he knows it is, when you spend so much time on the ground, mentally also it drains you. So you wouldn't get, even if you get time, your body doesn't allow, your mind doesn't allow to read, because you're tired physically and mentally. So he knows that I struggled with time, because I wouldn't get much time before exams. So he never put pressure on saying that I want first class or anything. He would say, you just pass. That's more than enough for me. But on the other hand, my mother, who's convent bred, she would say that no, nothing less than first class. I want first class. So she was the one at home who would insist on me and my brother studying. She would not hear anything. So it's not like I was bad or I was very bright kid. But given time, I would turn things around, because first year of my college, I had 1 month to prepare for exams, and I prepared really hard, and I remember I was 3rd in the college.
Oh, is it?
So
wow.
Which even my dad was surprised. He couldn't believe that I came 3rd in my college. So he's like, because those days we had 2-wheelers, so I would come from college, and he would also come from bank for lunch, and he would stay closer to the college. So he saw me on the road, and he was quite he was very interested in knowing what was the result. So I said, I stopped on the road. I told him I've come 3rd in the college. He said, don't lie to me. Just tell me. It's okay if you fail. I said, are you crazy? I'm telling you the fact. So it took a while for him to understand. But then my mother, on the other hand, she didn't feel surprised. She said, I knew that if you put your mind to it, you will crack anything. So she was obviously happy, but it wasn't a surprise for her. She said surprise would be if you have failed, which you haven't.
Okay. But she didn't demand for first rank, right? The next time.
Well, no, that she's not in that way. She's not she doesn't go overboard. But something she would always wanted is that I be a first class student and I have to complete my graduation. She was very, very adamant about that.
Okay. So you took up commerce or you took up arts? What exactly did you pursue, ma'am?
I done BA in graduation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this was which year? Because you were still playing cricket back then.
It took me 5 years to complete my graduation.
So 3 years of graduation, it took you 5 years?
Yeah, it took me 5 years. Okay. But each time I would give 2 subjects. Then again I would go back. I would go attend camps, training or tournaments. Again come back, give 2 exams like that. And there was a one point when I gave 2 papers in a day. Second year and third year, morning 1 paper, afternoon 1 paper.
Okay.
So this was like I finished graduation in I think in 2008 something.
Again, 5 years to complete 3 years of education. I think it was still very good. I'm sure there would have been players who took more than 5 years to complete their graduation.
I took 5 years is because one is that usually our season is in September is what our domestic starts.
Correct.
And September is one of if you don't pass in March, you write in September.
Okay.
Now March is again tours. We have Arigo.
Yes.
Tours we have abroad.
Yes.
So June, July, August is England tours usually we have.
Yeah.
January, February, March is you go to New Zealand or Australia.
Correct.
So during these periods is what the season is. It's not like April, May where peak summer and you can give exams and not play. So there were times also I was so busy in training. I remember once we had camp in we had Indian Railways camp in Hyderabad, and so I prepared for a paper, and I told my coach, I said I'm not coming tomorrow. The team can leave, but I will join the team in 2-3 days time because I have paper. So everybody wished me good luck and everything. I went home, I prepared well for the paper. Next day my dad wanted to drop me at the venue, and so I went to the venue and it was empty. I was like, Dad, I said, there is wrong in the timing or what? Have we come early? So he said, no, even if you're early, there should be other papers happening. Let's go and find out in the office.
Okay.
And we got to know that we were 1 month late. It happened a month before.
Okay.
These things keep happening. There were times when I read one paper and I gave another paper.
Okay. This would have been very interesting. What paper did you prepare?
I realized early in the morning that the paper was very different. I called up Noosh. Noosh is my best friend, and because if Dad was busy, she would go and drop me in the venue to write. So she was supposed to pick me and drop me that time.
Okay.
And I called her up. I said, Noosh, man, I have not read properly because I read for one paper. I think I'm going to fail. You come. Don't wait for 3 hours. You be there in 1 hour's time only. I'll come out because I've not prepared anything.
Okay.
She's like, it's okay. Whatever this 1 hour you have, just go brush through the pages and let's see. So when I went to write, because I've gone through the pages, I just remembered the side headings and everything. I took 3 hours to write, and I made her wait for 3 hours. And she's like, she abused me and she said, you told me you will fail. You told me you'll come in 1 hour time because you don't know. And you've taken 3 hours. What were you writing 3 hours?
Without studying. Without even studying, it took 3 hours.
Without preparing, actually. So, but then I managed to pass that subject also. I was like, okay.
Amazing. Crazy stories. But 2005, you played your World Cup. India reached the final. And you're saying that 2008, you went to give these exams. By that time, did people know you by face? Did they recognize you that she's Mithali Raj, she plays for India?
No, I don't think people recognize me by my face because we were still not on billboards or on television.
Okay.
But a lot of people in Hyderabad did know Mithali Raj as a cricketer, as a captain of Indian team, because after the world record in 2002 and 2005, both the times I was recognized and appreciated by the state government.
Okay.
By the chief minister. And one good thing about Hyderabad is that the media here really highlights sports activities and the accomplishments and the achievements of sport athletes here in our state.
Great.
So a lot of write-ups and everything. So those days, because newspaper was something everybody read in the morning.
Correct.
A lot of people know me by my name, but not by face. Say if I was next to you in those days, those years, you wouldn't even know that okay, Mithali is next to you until and unless I introduce myself. And this happened quite a lot of times that people wouldn't even know me.
Okay.
I'm next to them, but only when my name is announced or when I give an intro, that's when they realize, okay, you're the cricketer. So when I'm writing these exams, nobody knew by face. So it was easy for me to just go sit and write and come back. But maybe now, I don't think that would be possible.
Okay, so you mentioned about your friend Nushin Al Khadir, which brings me to this interesting 2002 Test double century.
Yeah.
So there was this conversation which you two were having. So you asked her if I'll be able to score a century, and she told nahi tu double century maregi. And then it happened so that you went on and I think you batted at number three, and you continued to play and play for 600 minutes, which is flat 10 hours, and you scored a double century that day.
It's just that, the first test was washed out. So, because usually what happens is when you're going for a test game, at the grounds, they prepare lunch for both the teams according to the schedule. So once the matches are washed out, say if they call it off in the morning, you still have to go to the ground because the lunch is prepared there. And
Correct.
you wouldn't want to waste that.
Okay.
So in 2002, because we were still not under ICC or not
True.
under BCCI,
True.
we were under WCAI.
Yeah.
So the other body was also struggling. So we wouldn't want to waste their money or
Correct.
finances
Correct.
when a board is struggling. So that's when we came back in the morning once the umpire told that play cannot resume or play, it is washed out because of the rain. So we came back to the hotel and Nushin was my room partner and we were watching men's match because even back then we didn't have Netflix or anything. There were only 2-3 channels.
Yeah.
One would be sports channel and a couple of things would be the local regional channel.
True.
So the best thing that you can understand is a sports channel. So we switched that on, we kept that going. And I don't remember the England batsman who that was. He was on 190s.
Okay.
And both of us were on our bed and we were watching him play and he scored a double 100. And usually in the men's team you have this fist punching and raising your bat
Correct,
and
correct.
celebrating that milestone. So
Yeah.
it was just out of curiosity because I told Noosh, I said, what would it take to score a double 100, Noosh? I mean, scoring 100 itself, you all will be struggling and make it a big and to cry about, okay, I scored 100.
Yeah.
But here this guy has scored 200.
Yeah.
And what will it take and how many hours he's played? How can one have focus like that? And stuff. I was quite curious. I was to ask a question.
Okay.
Because I thought she is the wise person and has all the knowledge.
Okay.
And she turned around, she said, even you can score. What is there? All you have to do is, you have to also leave balls outside off stump. You can't keep scoring off every ball. And if you put your mind, you will also score.
Okay.
She told me. And because I didn't score runs in the one-dayers on that tour, I said, I'm anyway struggling to score in one-dayers. What will I score in a test match, I told her. She's like, just be positive, no? Why you have to think like that?
Okay.
So this was just a very out of the blue kind of a conversation. It had nothing to do with the coming test match or anything. It was just like when you're watching somebody, you try and put yourself in their shoes and understand what all it will take to do that.
Yeah.
So that is what it was.
Okay. And it so happened that you stood there, holding one end. There were batters who were getting out on the other end. And then came Jhulan Goswami, there was a...
No, I had two good partnerships. I had even a partnership with Hemlata Kala. And after that, I had a partnership with Jhulan. So I had two good partnerships with both of them. And to my fortune, Nushin was the scorer. So those days we didn't have this digital scoring,
correct,
and everything.
Correct.
So she had a score book. So she, and she would sit exactly opposite to the players' gallery.
Okay.
The scorer used to sit opposite to basically the other side of the ground. So so when this conversation happened and I was like, she told me, Mithu, if you score 100, you should raise your bat towards the scorer because remember me what I have told. I have a black mole on my tongue, some nonsense she spoke. I said, sure, if I end up scoring 100, first I'll raise my bat to you. So she told me, these days we talk a lot, no? So I was telling her, then she's like, you should, do you remember that you remembered to raise your bat towards a scoreboard because I was sitting there. Okay. I said, okay. So these things are fun to actually go back in time and remember. Yeah. So we were talking about the partnership. Yes, I had partnership with Hema, who came in at I think number 5. Number 5. She's a good middle order bat, and I had a good partnership with her, around 100 plus runs, I think.
Okay.
And then I had partnership with Julian for the 7th wicket.
And that sort of built the momentum, and it got you from 150 to 200, right?
Yeah. When I was on 160 or something, I think Hema got out, and then I think Julu walked in.
Okay. And there were times when you, because you had batted for so long, you were super tired. There were bruises.
Because I used to use one of the heaviest bat in women's cricket back then. I used to use around 1.5 kg.
Oh,
that
wow.
was quite heavy. And of course, I was 19-year-old, so there is the youth energy in me to play it a little longer. But again, physically not yet that strong to play for a long time. For a 1 day is fine because not more than 2 hours or 3 hours you have to bat. But a test match, it's like days game. So I literally played 1.5 days. So it did all my forearms were all very tired, and it was tiring. Yes, at the end of the day.
Did the team have physio back then?
No, we didn't have. We just had coach and manager.
So what exactly did you do after scoring 214 and you went back dressing room that day?
I think that was the best part of those years, is because the camaraderie between the players was so great. As in, for me, when we were sitting in the bus and getting back to the room, I didn't I was not in a position to realize that world record is an important milestone, or I scored a 200, which I and Noosh were just talking few days back.
Correct.
I was so exhausted mentally and physically that I just collapsed in the bus on a chair, and I was just looking outside the window. That's when Deepa, one of my very close friends, she took the scorebook from Nooshin. She came and sat next to me, and Noosh and Neetu sat opposite to me, and she said, "See, in the scorebook, I think the 3-digit looks very nice."
Okay.
For a teammate to actually come and appreciate you in a subtle manner that your contribution is so good is something feels very nice even today, to think that your own teammates have appreciated your effort. And when I went back to the room, it was Neetu and Nooshin who bought rock salt from the restaurant, filled the tub with water and the salt water, and they told me to rest for 30 minutes in the tub. And they made sure that I was not disturbed by the support staff or the other players or the calls coming from India. So I think even though we didn't have physios and trainers, we kind of looked after ourselves, looked after each other.
Correct.
Because on tour we were the family. We had nobody else.
Okay.
Yeah.
And back then there were no social media. There was not many gadgets used by the players. So you were
I don't think there was anything in 2000. It just, what started was email, release mail or something. Those were the things which started. There was absolutely nothing else. Social media was 3-4 years back.
True. One thing for sure that we can go on and talk for days if we talk about particular series, if we talk about particular match, because there are so many memorable moments from your journey. Because we are running short of time, I'll not go to each and every specific matches and your tournaments. I would rather jump to very specific questions, and I think more or less will cover the large part of your journey. Which teammate of yours do you think gets annoyed very, very easily?
I think every phase I had, team players gets annoyed easily. Like when I think when I started to play, or when I had players of my age, Hema, Neetu, Nooshin, these were the people who would with a flick of it, they would really get annoyed on the ground. And I think in the current team, I would say Julan. Julu would be, but also it is when she's bowling and she's trying too hard, and then suddenly somebody drops a catch with field, so they would get that look and something told off by Julu, and maybe Harman. To some extent, even she gets annoyed very quickly. But of late, I've seen that she's tried to control her
Emotions.
emotions on the field. Yeah.
Okay. I also remember the BBC pranks which you guys did on Julian ma'am.
Yeah, some of it, like, she is like, even now, there sometimes when I tell off something to her, again, she will not talk for a few days. Then again, I have to go and make her up, like, okay, yeah, sorry, galti ho gayi, yeah, and stuff like that. Then she's like, okay, to normal self. So.
Okay, great. Next question is, which of these cricket roles would you not be interested in after you retire?
Well, I don't want to say anything because you never know. You should never say never. Sometimes things happen in such a way that you eventually end up doing the same thing that you said you wouldn't do. So I'm not going to answer to that.
No, but these options are quite funny. A cricket umpire, a ground curator, a scorer, or an administrator.
I wouldn't end up doing umpiring.
I knew it.
Maybe a scorer, yes, it's interesting because it keeps you in the game even though you're not there out on the ground.
Okay.
Curator is again something very very unique because you understand the wickets. There is some sort of in-depth knowledge goes into preparing good wickets, turners and all. So it is also a very skillful thing to do. And administration also I'm quite keen because again it gives you an opportunity to do some sort of service for women's cricket in a certain capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But umpire, no.
Umpiring, no. I can't just stand on the ground. These days anyway, umpires are also being hit with those very hard shots.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to put my life in any more danger.
I've had enough of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And umpires also sometimes when you don't give a proper decision, you will be abused of. So I don't want to put myself in that situation.
Right. Thankless job. Okay. Next is if you met your 16-year-old self today, what would you tell her? Any advice to her? Apart from, please don't take up cricket.
Well, I wouldn't say that because I clearly don't have a choice there because I have to live with my parents, so I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
Maybe I would ease out a little.
Okay.
In terms of, say, as I mentioned that I was a lot more nervous than excitement. I think I probably would savor the moment of wearing India colors or the moment of walking on the field representing your country. Probably I would probably enjoy that moment or savor that moment because obviously it is not on television. So those days we didn't have the culture of handing over caps or anything of that sort. So we were given clothes and you have to wear it.
Oh, is it?
So I don't have any memories of my first debut match. So I would like to have something that will probably go down the memory lane as my first debut for country. People enjoy. Usually, you enjoy being the first time in everything. Whatever you do first time is a very different experience and a unique thing in its own.
Very true.
And that is something I would want my 16-year-old. If I had to go back in time, it would be that.
Amazing. Even we would love to see you getting cap from someone and the social media pictures going viral after that. Okay. Your favorite cricket ground that you've played so far?
I think I wouldn't say favorite because I don't look at grounds as such.
Okay.
As long as I score runs, and runs is something I would like to score on every venue that I play on, every ground. Taunton, I would pick Taunton not as a favorite ground, but a ground which has helped me to score double hundred.
True.
And also, I think Rahul Dravid and Ganguly, I don't know who have the partnership there in Taunton also.
Okay.
It has been a lucky ground for India, I would say.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think as we don't play that often in those days. We've never played in stadiums. I can't really say, like, if you even pick how many games I played in Lord's, hardly it would be single digit only. So I can't really make a favorite based on that. I mean, it depends on if you play like good 10, 15 innings on a ground, and then you can come to a conclusion, okay, that could be my favorite because I've scored a lot of runs.
Got it.
That
Got
way,
it.
yeah.
Got it. Next, if you could meet one sports person from another sport, who would it be?
It would be Michael Jordan.
Basketball.
Yeah.
Perfect. Which app do you use the most on your phone?
I would use WhatsApp and Webster Dictionary. That is something I use
Webster Dictionary?
quite often. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Is it to find out the meaning of the words that you come across in the books that you read?
Yeah, most of the time, yes.
Perfect. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Superpower would be, I would say, I don't know how to club it. Maybe to vanish and be at different places in split seconds. I don't know how do I put that across, but something like a super van sort of, and you're able to be, you can transport yourself in a different place in few minutes or few seconds or whatever.
Lovely.
Or it is a toss-up between that and to have the power to fly and swim.
Oh, wow.
So that I'm able to fly and see the world down, and also to swim, to be in the, like say, deep inside the oceans and to even see that world.
Okay.
So it's a toss-up between these two. If I get both, I would be great.
Okay. But you know swimming? Tried?
No, I don't know. That's why that is a superpower. No, you asked me a superpower. I don't know to swim.
Okay. Next question is interesting. If you could eat just one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? Just one food.
Idli. I can eat 365 days.
Idli with what? Sambar or with chutney?
You give me anything, I will eat.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you could play a prank on another player, who would you choose?
Prank on another player, who would you choose?
Yeah, from the current players.
Current players?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't choose anybody
from the past.
Players.
We all know Julian ma'am is going to be one of them.
No, not any. I wouldn't do that again.
Okay.
And get tortured by her. But,
no taking risk.
Current team, they're all very young, and I wouldn't. I never thought of doing pranks on them because they wouldn't consider it as a prank only, for me to even, do it on them.
Okay.
So, if I have to play a prank, I would play with somebody who I'm comfortable with. And Amita was a prankster.
Okay.
She was very good in this.
Okay.
Someone who always plays prankster. She will put everybody in a fix. I would rather play a prank on her to see how she responds. Well, now I don't think so. She's a mother of a kid, and she would be
already getting pranked.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. If you could have only one cricket record, which one would you like it to be? Out of all the records that you have.
Well, at least what I'm right now I'm holding, I would like to hold that. Which is highest run getter in ODIs.
Okay.
Because I think I'm pretty much there, so I would like to, take it furthermore.
Okay, it's 6,888 if I'm not wrong. Is there any adventure sport that you would like to try? Or you have tried any?
I've not tried any because the only thing always comes to mind is to safeguard yourself, because I'm still a professional cricketer, an active cricketer, so I wouldn't want to break any part of my body. So I think skydiving. That is something I always wanted to do. Maybe after whenever I take retirement, maybe that is something I would add in my bucket list, is skydiving.
So you clearly don't have fear for heights.
No, I don't have fear for heights, but I do have fear for water. Like I'm not a water body person. Like I don't like water much.
Okay.
But also that whale watching is something I want to do.
Okay, amazing. Your favorite holiday destination?
I've only been to all cricketing playing countries, nations. So I would go to New Zealand. I've only gone to New Zealand as a player, like as a cricketer.
Okay.
But if I'm going to the country as a tourist, then I would rather do a lot more and get to see a lot more than my usual stuff which I get to see on trips.
New Zealand, I think, is quite popular when it comes to holiday destinations for a lot of players. This is a very common answer that I hear.
Because I think a lot of people there, one is that New Zealand has a lot of tourist attraction in terms of even adventure sports.
Okay.
And because it's an island, there is a lot to do with even like water sport.
Okay.
And secondly, people are very warm. They don't trouble you even if they recognize you. They would give you that privacy and they would give you your time to enjoy if you're doing something.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Are you into songs, ma'am? You like listening
No.
Not at all?
Not much into music.
Okay, but one thing which is quite common is that there are a lot of Punjabi song listeners and Punjabi song lovers in the Indian side. Any Punjabi song that you remember?
I do. Honestly, even if I'm sitting in the bus and they play Punjabi music, I don't actually listen to it as much because I'm not there. Sort of. I'm into a different zone.
You just ignore it.
Yeah, or I'm reading a book, so I'm transferred to a different world. So I don't really. For me, Punjabi song is only that it is a very repetitive background score, like the drum beating. That's quite repetitive and loud. So that is only I can talk about Punjabi song because I don't understand Punjabi. So even if they sing, I don't understand what they're singing.
Okay. One place that you wish to visit after the lockdown is over. As soon as this lockdown gets over, one place where you want to be.
Well, definitely on the ground to at least run a little bit. It's been 2 months that I have not actually ran. Sort of, running activities.
Yeah. Okay. What would you like to be remembered as? Mithali, a player, Mithali, a captain, or anything else?
I think Mithali as a player, Mithali as a captain is something for my teammates, for them to remember because most part of my career is not known to people. Only post 2017 is what a lot of people have been following cricket. So probably they have seen me bat few occasions. But the bulk of my career is played, how do I say it, in obscure. People don't know. Even if I have records, but among that 6,000 whatever runs you said, 4,000 nobody knows where I've scored, 5,000 nobody knows how I've played and scored runs. So I don't know if that would be wise for people to know me like that. But yes, maybe I would like people to know that there has been a player who's played for the longest time to see women's cricket through. I mean, that is something even I have seen, I have faced the fact that from what it was as a debut player to what it is today, something even I have never thought it would happen. And to see that transformation and to be part of those years is something I'm quite proud of. I never gave up in between because there were a lot of times that I could have easily given up on a lot of things. But somehow things kept happening, and I'm happy to be where I am. And I don't know, it is something I never really given it a thought how I want people to know me. I think it is a very subjective thing. Each and every person see different things in an athlete, and they would like to remember them for. So I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next is, was there one skill you would have liked to have borrowed from another batter?
See, as a batter, obviously everybody have their own strengths.
True.
I mean, I wouldn't want to, because those strengths are what make them unique. Those strengths are what they are known for. So I wouldn't want that. But yes, if I have to take a skill from any other player, I would take Neetu David's left arm spin. Her skill as a left arm spinner, because I think I'm yet to see a left arm spinner like her.
Okay.
After her retirement, also nobody comes closer to what she was.
Okay.
So that's why I always, whenever I meet her, I always tell her, Thakur, ye haath mujhe de de. So if I had her hand, maybe I would be ruling the all-rounder list by now. Yeah.
I've read a lot about Neetu ma'am, and I genuinely regret not watching her play.
Well, it is a loss for the people, for the world, for not having seen a class player like her.
Correct.
Yeah. And it is also very sad that she's never got the recognition that she truly deserves.
Okay.
Maybe because of the time, she was playing in a different era altogether.
True. One bowler from the past you would have loved to face?
I would have loved to face more of Fitzpatrick. Catherine Fitzpatrick, because
Australia.
At that point itself she was the fastest bowler.
True.
When the concept of fitness and everything wasn't even there in international levels, she was like this trim fast bowler who had a short run up but would really bowl very fast, bowl those bouncers and everything. So as a number 3 batter, I didn't get to face her as much. I did face her, but not to a point like the opening batters.
Okay.
Like a new ball sort of a thing. So I would like to face her to take up the challenge of facing her in her prime. Definitely not now, in her prime. Yeah.
If you had to pick a nickname for yourself, what would it be?
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want anybody to call me by my nickname.
Okay.
And well, obviously my teammates call me Mittu, Mitch, and all that. Whatever comes to their mouth, they call me. So that's okay with me. I'm not very
fond of nickname.
I mean, anything. I would like to hear my whole name, Mithali. Not many call me that, but I like to hear my name.
Okay. A batter you enjoyed playing with, having a partnership with, because you've played with so many batters.
Yeah, I've played with a lot of batters.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed playing with Hema, surprisingly, because she was one of those batters who played spinners exceptionally well. And in those days itself, she used to hear like sixers. She used to hit sixers. So whenever both of us are batting together, most of the time she would tell you play the fast bowlers, let me play the spinners. So that's how we used to manage and have a lot of partnerships going. So each time there's a fast bowler, I try and take a lot of strikes and make use of it. And she would take a strike when it is spinners.
Wow.
So So and also she would like to keep things very simple. She is not someone who talks a lot or someone who doesn't talk at all. She is someone who understands how I work, and it also works for her well. So
a perfect partnership.
Yeah, I mean, also the thing that she's few years senior to me, and if she has very good cricketing knowledge. Even today, when a lot of times she's been chief selector for us for a good 5-6 years. So more of a when she comes on tour as a chief selector, I interact with her a lot of times on my own batting, on how one should strategize. She's helped me as a player also. She's helped me to plan strategies or try and change bowling. And those small things when she sits out and watches, she helps me, gives me some tips which helps me a lot. So, so my interactions with her has been a lot about overall development of the sport as well as players. And that's why I enjoy batting with her, because one is I played with her a lot in domestic, and we carry the same comfort level when we are batting in the international matches also.
Amazing. Do you follow any superstitions?
I used to follow a lot as a young kid.
And
young cricketer always has superstitions. Only with age and with a lot of matches and all, you understand that only if it was superstition, a lot of people would have become like great athletes in their respective fields. But performance doesn't really
Come
goes
from it.
on, from superstition. So, but there is something which I still follow. Two things. One is that my dad always leaves me, like, if I'm going on trip.
Okay.
My dad is the one who always comes and sees me off.
Wow.
Yeah, he always does, whether it's train journey, whether it's a railway station or airport. That has never changed since 92. So that is something he always does. So if he is going anywhere, he would, and he knows that, okay, Mithali has to leave for a tournament on this day, he would postpone everything to be there to drop me at the airport.
Wow.
So that is something, I think that is sort of a thing that we've carried for all these years, right from my first trip as under 16 player for the state. And second is, I always put my left leg guard first when I'm padding up. So it is, I think, I don't know if you can call it superstition or a habit, but it is something now comes very naturally to me to pad up from the left leg first.
Okay. So you are a lot into reading books. Which is the finest book that you have read so far? You just have to name one.
Brother, you can't actually put me in that sort of naming one, especially the books, because there are a lot of books that I would really love people to read, or because what you take from the book is a very personal thing.
Correct.
You read a book and I read the same book. You take something very different lessons from it, and so do I. So, but the one book in my early days when I was still trying to develop this habit of reading, and something I really loved is the book The Paths of Glory by Jeffrey Archer. It's a very nice book on a mountaineer, someone who, it is in fact inspired by a true story, that he was apparently, a lot of people speculate that he would be the first one to scale the Mount Everest, but nobody knows, because after years and years they found his body somewhere closer to the tip of the Mount Everest, but nobody knows whether he reached the Mount Everest, he reached the top and then died, or he died before he reached. So that is something is open for everybody to speculate. That's the ending. Yeah, it's a journey of a mountaineer, and I don't remember his name, but the book is written so well. It explains the emotions of a mountaineer, how he struggles, being the leader of a group, and what kind of leadership qualities that he develops during his trek while his climb, and the choices that a leader makes in times of crisis. His relationship with his wife, because this is way back, so obviously they would be into letter writing, so how he expresses it, and sometimes at the base camp you are not access to incoming letters, you can only send it across, so how he misses his family. So it's a very nicely written book about a person's journey, and you never know the end. Nobody knows the end yet.
This sounds super exciting and super interesting, ma'am.
So that is a book that I've reread a lot of times, but each time I read it only gave me each time you read a book, you always find very different lessons. It's never the same.
Any headline about you from your career that you remember? Any headline which you read in the newspaper or in social media or on some digital news platform that you remember?
I don't. I remember two. One was my first interview as a 13-year-old. I think it was written by a local newspaper called Hindu. The Raj of something. It started with that. It started with my name.
The Raj of women's cricket.
No. What was that, mummy? Destined to Raj. Yeah, destined to Raj. Like, Raj was in fourth. It was in, like a cap, like a thing. So it's destined to Raj.
Amazing.
Like destined to rule, sort of, like, So
correct.
And one more thing is, like, when I scored, like, I had a very good average in one of the seasons in domestic. So there was this guy who wrote an article on that. He said the dimple destroyer. So these were the two things which stuck in my mind when it came to names of the articles.
Okay, dimple destroyer. Now this will stay with me for some time. Okay, fair enough. Have you faced any sledge as a batter? Or as a fielder? Or what was which team was it?
I got sledged playing Pakistan in the World Cup in 2014 T20 World Cup in Bangladesh.
Okay.
And once in England.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next is I'll give you four innings, four matches of yours. You have to pick one as your personal favorite.
Okay.
114 versus Ireland on your debut. 91 versus New Zealand in 2005 World Cup semi-final.
Okay.
103 not out versus Pakistan in 2013.
2013. Okay.
2013 World Cup. And final is 109 versus New Zealand in 2017 World Cup, the latest.
Well, I would pick both the New Zealand innings.
Both the New Zealand innings. Okay.
Yeah, because both were at a time. It was a knockout sort of
situation
in 2017 also. It was pretty much the quarterfinals for us.
True.
We won that game and then we qualified for the semis. So both, even in 2005, that was a semi-final for us, and then we got into the finals of 2005 World Cup. So both the innings I would rate it. Yeah.
Amazing. And your scores, your performance basically led the side to go into the semi-finals, which was again a memorable moment for all of us. Finally, I am done with the second session, the second part. Okay, we'll jump to the final segment. I have got few questions from the fans from on our Instagram and Twitter channel. The first question is from Suganya. 20 years of your career, who has been the toughest bowler that you have faced?
I think Lucy Pearson, of course Fitzpatrick.
Okay.
But Lucy Pearson was a left-arm fast bowler from England, and she was quite tall. She was like taller than Julian. And she would get the ball, she would literally get the ball in and out, and left-arm fast bowler. So the angle she creates itself is a little difficult. And those days, we don't usually have left-arm fast bowlers as much in women's cricket as what we get to see in men's cricket. So she was little difficult to play. But she played only till I think I don't remember, maybe 2005-06. That was her last. And Fitzpatrick, of course, was sort of like the bowler that everybody would be a little scared of to play. And
Okay, amazing. Next question is from Vaishnavi. How do you remain so calm during the matches? Do you have a special routine for your breakfast? What do you eat before the game?
I mean, I'm usually, I eat very light during the game.
Because
obviously you don't want your stomach to be filled and you're not able to move, or it makes you sleepy or drowsy on the field. So I try and keep it simple and not much. Maybe at the end of the game we try and eat, because when you spend calories, you feel hungry after a game. So that's when we kind of eat a lot. There is no particular routine before the match. I don't really follow that much into my eating habits, of course not. But I would like to keep it light. At least I feel that I have enough in my stomach to sustain during the match. And usually we are on those sports drinks, sports bar and everything. So we're pretty much munching throughout the day.
Okay. Next question is from Sumit. How many languages do you speak, ma'am?
I speak 4 languages: Hindi, English, Telugu, Tamil.
Telugu and Tamil. And Tamil is your mother tongue?
Yeah, Tamil is my mother tongue.
Okay, next question is from Ritvika. Your thoughts on the transition of women's cricket with no facilities and lesser money to now, having fans and women's cricket becoming a marketable sport?
As I said, I think, of course, now everything is very different. Definitely, it helps in the promotion of the sport, getting more girls to take up the sport, and a sort of like getting contract system in place, more support staff. You have exclusive people looking after the department, like fielding coach, bowling coach, spin coach, or a fast bowling coach, the fielding coach. So every department has been exclusively monitored by the experts in that field.
Correct.
And so naturally, the team's performance, the players who come in, so there is a lot of professionalism to it. But again, if you ask players of the past, whether men or women, they would say that those days were the best because they got to see more of their own teammates than today's time, where we straight away from the match we go straight into our rooms, in our hotel rooms, with the gadgets, with the social media. So though players still feel together, they will have friends, not that, but that sort of enjoyment is very different. Staying in dormitories, even after playing the match, you're in the dormitory, so you know each one of them, what they're doing, a lot of gossip around, and nothing is hidden from your teammates. So you have all that sort of story,
conversation,
which maybe in today's world you may not get that. And it's just not about cricket, even general life. How many of us sit with our parents and have meals? We don't. Because everybody is so busy with everything. Even my parents, my mother is into watching something on her mobile, my dad is watching a television. That was the case before the lockdown. But those days with not social media, not much of things, only the television, we had Doordarshan or whatever that was. And so we had to interact with each other. We were the ones who were there around. But today, even if you don't have a friend in the team, you still can manage on your own, because everything is there in your hands, in that small handset of yours called mobile. So you can actually say, like, if say somebody is feeling low or somebody is new in the team, they can be on the phone for hours talking to their friends. But those days, if you're a newcomer, you don't have anything. You don't have your family members. You can't reach out to your parents or your friends. So what do? You're forced to interact. You're forced to make friends. So that eventually develops communication. You get to know a lot about your own teammates.
Correct.
You discuss a lot about the game, because back then we never had fielding coach or a bowling coach. We didn't have physio also, as I mentioned before. So how do you look after? You have your own teammates. You have to learn something. If there was something, say Nushin wants to learn a bowling skill, she would always ask me too. ये तूने कैसे डाला है, मेरे को सिखाना. How do you develop consistency? So Neetu would explain to her. So both of them would be practicing in net. These things used to happen a lot. But today, you don't have your teammate helping you. You have an exclusive coach, like spin coach. Correct. He would help you. He would give you an expert. So these things do matter a lot. Yes, every generation has its advantages and disadvantages. Having said about that era, I don't take away the fact that the current generation also have the challenges with growing number of viewers and people coming to the stadium, media taking interest in writing up about profiles of the players, social media scrutinizing everything. They have their own challenges. You have to be consistent. If you're not, there is one write-up about you the next day. So this generation also has its challenges, and every other generation following it. But again, how you manage, move with the times, accept things that are changing with the times is what survival is all about.
True. Both the challenges and opportunities are going to be for every generation.
Yeah, I mean, now with of course test matches we don't play anymore.
True.
One days and T20, and there is 100 ball
tournament
and T10 and all that. So yeah, things are getting very hectic for the players.
Okay. Next question is from Sudesh. Which was the recent Netflix or Amazon Prime show that you watched?
I'm more of a fantasy lover, like science fiction sort of person.
Okay.
So I watched Shannara Chronicles.
Okay. What is it about?
Yeah, it's a fantasy storyline basically, like something like Lord of the Rings sort of,
Okay.
somebody having the power, and the person doesn't know that he actually wields the power. He goes through his own journey, and then how he tries to save the world with the help of some other people. So it's like that. It's more of a fantasy genre.
Okay. And this is on Netflix Prime. Where exactly did you watch it?
It's on Netflix.
Okay. Next question is again from Ritvika. So you have 8 ODI wickets as well to your name. Okay. Which one is your favorite and why? From the 8 ODI wickets.
I don't even remember the 8 wickets that I've taken, so don't ask me which is my favorite. I remember one wicket. We were playing in Australia in 2008. Julian was leading in that series, but that match she didn't play that match. So Rumeli was her vice captain, so she led that match. And the concept of power plays just came in 2007-8. So in the 36 to 40 overs, that batting power play just came in, the concept. So that 5, and Shelly Nishki from Australia, she was batting on 96, and the power play was on. So the extras who were sitting out, I was fielding in the boundary line, so they were like cheering up, Mithu, you should do aana abhi bowling ke liye. So I said, हाँ रे अब मैं ही आऊँगी bowling के लिए देखने. And I was warming up just to, there was a banter from the extras who were sitting out, and suddenly I see Rumeli actually calling me to bowl. And I turned around and I said, are you mad? I am not a bowler. पागल तो नहीं होगी? मैं तो ऐसे मजाक कर रही थी. So she's like, जान दे यार, तू आके bowling करना, वैसे भी अभी थोड़े ही runs हैं. So I came. She was on 89 or 88 or something, and first ball she hit me for a 6. Second ball she got out. And third ball, I think Lisa came in to bat. So Lisa was out on the first ball, so I was actually on a hat trick.
Okay.
Yeah, that is what I remember. Otherwise, I don't remember any of my bowling.
Not bad. When are we going to see you bowl again then?
I don't think you'll see me bowl. I will probably a net bowler. I will be bowling the nets now, and I'm very happy like that, bowling in the nets.
Amazing.
I give confidence to the batters. Unlike Julian and all, they try to get us out in the net. I try to give the batters confidence before they get into bat.
And Julian ma'am must be giving confidence to the bowlers that इसको ऐसे डालना है.
Yeah, she would be giving confidence. देख मैं out निकाल सकते, तू निकाल के दिखा.
Okay. Next question from Shantanu. What's your thoughts on Shafali Verma?
But I think she's talented kid, definitely. I mean, with the glimpse that she's shown, what kind of a talent she possesses in the T20 format. But it's still very young for me to judge somebody. I wouldn't judge so easily. And it is just a beginning for her. But as far as talent and skill is concerned, I wouldn't change much of it, because it's a natural thing, and a player should retain a lot of their natural abilities. And I wouldn't change much of it. Maybe a little bit of a temperament, but that again will come with exposure, with more of matches that she plays on different wickets with different teams. She will learn from every game that she plays.
Correct. Final question in this segment is from Anurag Sinha. What is the major difference you see in the game? Compare it with the time you made your debut and what it is now.
I think I get to see a lot more stronger athletes on the ground. Some exceptional fielding, fielding catches or whatever, saving the boundaries or whatever. To what I made debut, I mean, the fielding department definitely has improved like leaps and bounds. Of course, with fitness, and I see a lot more control with the bowlers in terms of the speed. There is those days only one bowler in the team would be fastest. But now you have every team boost of good fast bowlers.
Yeah.
And in terms of batting, I think it has also evolved over the years with the change of times, with the change of rules which has come in with the batting power play and bouncers. You can bowl not more than 2 in an over, and all these rules, of course, is more batting friendly, and with the boundaries 60 yards, 60 meters and more. So those days we didn't have any sort of setup in terms of like the boundary has to be minimum this much. If sometimes the ground is big, the boundary will be big.
Okay.
You can easily run 4 runs. Before the ball reaches the boundary, you are actually running 4 runs. So sometimes we played in grounds which is so big. So there was no yardstick. It depended. If you have a smaller ground, it's a small boundary. Bigger ground, big boundary. That's all. But now everything has rule, has a yardstick.
Correct.
ICC guidelines. So you have something to follow. And and I think these are the improved changes that I've seen. I would definitely say it's an improvement because and of course the total score of the teams those days 150 was a good total. You would win. If touching 200 is the best. I mean, it would you clearly can walk in saying that we are winning today. Suppose 200, but in today's time, nothing less than 270, 250, 270, and that also sometimes is so chaseable. So I think with time everything improves. Everything changes.
Has evolved. Amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, ma'am. From the stories of your mother to Nushin Al Khadir, to your dad waking you up at 5 in the morning. I'm sure those are priceless moments, and with your story, which is going to be released next year, if I'm not sure if that is going to happen because the lockdown constraints must have come into picture.
There will be a little delay in everything, like even because they were, if not for the lockdown, they would have started shooting, but I don't think they would in the current situation. It might take some more time, so definitely it will be delayed by a couple of months or so, depending on when they start shooting. So
okay. But very much looking forward to seeing you back in the Indian jersey, playing for India and for the World Cup, which is like the ultimate.
Yeah, I can only hope that you and everybody who are listening to the podcast, please say a prayer that the World Cup happens on time, on schedule, so that I get to play the World Cup. Yeah.
Okay. Our prayers are always there, and I'll also insist everybody else listening to the podcast to please start praying right away.
Yeah.
Because we want to see you, Jhulu ma'am, donning the Indian colors once again. It's been a long wait for all of us. Thanks to you once again for sharing your story, ma'am. It is always a pleasure talking to you, and I'm glad that you shared so many insights from your cricketing journey.
Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Thank you for listening to this podcast, and I hope you have enjoyed it as much as we did talking to this incredible personality. Do share this podcast with your friends. Do not forget to follow us on Spotify, Apple or Google Podcast to never miss out on any such stories. We will be back with another beautiful story. Till then, you take care and stay safe.